Welcome along. It's Wednesday double bill time here on ZMS with ESTV. Tour du Alpes, Stage A, Saint-Martin to Thyon is coming up first, and that's 21.2 kilometers elevation, a staggering 1,297 meters. Ouch! A little bit softer coming up at 7:30. We have West London VR race 4.3 from the West London series. A fantastic double bill. Stay with us. This is your evening's entertainment here on ZMS and EST. 2 minutes 30 odd to go to the start of the first race, Tour du Alpes. Now, if you are new to this series, let me just explain. It's a cumulative series, and you'll see there from the top 20 riders that all of them have done 7 races so far. We're on race 8 with 9 and 10 coming on Thursday and Friday evening this week. Now, you see the total time, which is the third column along, 6:14 for John Beam, 7 minutes ahead of Daniel Cadiz, and there's a clutch of people just on his heels. Jonathan Stevens from Moon Riders, Jojo Rizanek, Wout Clays, also from Moon Riders, Lee Marshall, and Peter Brookwavel. Indeed, Timo Achenbach, another Moon Riders rider from Germany. So probably the top 8 all in some sort of contention, but that 7 minutes that John Beams has got, John Beams of Pedalers, looks to be quite emphatic. So we'll see what happens tonight. Now, this race happens several times a day. Wout Clays is currently in the hot seat because he rode it earlier, and he did it in 1 hour, 4 minutes, 58 seconds. So that's 1 hour, 5 minutes, give or take 2 seconds. And so that's what we're looking at to see if it can be beaten today. Now, John Beams was quite emphatic last night, pulled out another minute or so on Daniel Cadiz. And we look at this. This is in Switzerland, of course, Tour de Suisse. We're just south of the Rhone in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. And you'll see it goes up some valleys before this staggering, twisty. It's not out the heads, but it's got that sort of feeling to it when you look at the map with all those hairpins. Up to Thyon, which is a 1970s ski resort at the top of the mountain, and you can see probably which way they ski down the mountain from there. So as you can see, it's along the valley, and it's generally uphill all the way, but then you've got that zigzag right up to the top. So we look forward to those hairpins. As I say, this is just south of the River Rhone, which flows into Lake Geneva or Lake Léman, before oozing out the other side and becoming the Rhone again and flowing down to the Atlantic, coming out Nice, I think, isn't it? If I remember rightly. No, probably not. It's not Nice. It's further west than that. Sorry, my geography is falling apart. Staggering 54 riders on the start line. You can see that looks fairly healthy. You can pick out some of the jerseys there. The white jerseys with the black shorts and black and green shorts, those are OTR riders. OTR run this event, and we're about to go. 1 second. Here we go. Timo Achenbach of Moon Riders at the front there, Argyll, as they fly past. Now, you can look at the bottom and you can see that the first kilometre or so is fairly green on the profile at the bottom of your screen, bottom left-hand corner. The big bubble, remember, is the rider that we're currently following, whoever that may be. In this case, in this instance, it's John Beams. The other dots are people who are off the group. You can see this is formed into possibly 2 groups here. It's coming together. That's one group again. John Beams at the head there, Pedalers, and we see Paul Nichols, also known as Cruella. John, by the way, in there, an RGT man himself, and we shall have a look at how this group sticks together or disintegrates as we hit the climby bits. Now, as you can see, they're just about to sort of hit a little narrow band of sort of orangey coloured profile. Anything red is uphill. The redder it is, the steeper it is. Orange is less steep. Anything remotely looking like blue, and there's not a lot of it on here, is downhill. So there are a couple of dips. Now, this is the first little bit of climb. 10%, if you look at the top right-hand corner, 10%. And this is just a little teaser. We've got a lot more to come. So Keith now from OTR is leading the pack, but it's not fragmenting that much. And I think they're over the worst of it now, 6%. I mean, it's still uphill, down to 2%. So they've got over that without it splitting too much. And well, I say that it's fragmented now. I said that. I think that might come together on the green. We shall see. I'm really expecting the big splits when we get to that really long red chunk as we go up the valley side. coming up in about another kilometre or so. If you look in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see that we've done over a kilometre now, 1.14, 1.14, 1.15 kilometres, 19.8 to go. So this is a 20-kilometre race, and as I say, the target is an hour. To do 20 kilometres an hour over this course, bearing in mind how uphill it is, I think is very, very respectable. And we can see John Beam's stats at the bottom of the screen there. 373 watts as he pulls out. He's sitting in the pack as well, so he's got a little bit of saving going on. He's still doing 400 watts. Heart rate of 146. We can see John in the picture there, looking as cool as a cucumber. Now, if that was me, I'd be blowing out of every orifice I had. Peter Wavell, the man from Berkshire, pushing out ahead, an OTR rider, as you can tell by the kit. There's Peter soloing out the front, as I say, from Berkshire. Must find out which bit of Berkshire he's from, because it's, well, I said last night, I think it's quite a long county, so you can, the difference between living in Slough and Hungerford is quite a lot. You'll find the accents are even different. So we've still got a little bit of a bunch. As I said, this did get together a bit more on the green, although if you do look in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see there's a string of little white dots that haven't kept up with the big light bulb-shaped bubble. So we have dropped quite a few. 53 riders online, according to the stats there, so somebody's dropped out. And it might be worth explaining that as much as everybody wants to win the race and everybody wants to win the series, there is something else that's fascinating about this. And it is that out of all the people that finish all 10 races, they will all go into draw for £251 worth of prize money. Keith Aitchinson from Barcelona. It's a very Spanish-sounding name, Keith. I assume that you didn't grow up in Spain, but Barcelona, what a nice place to retire to. Keith, OTR, the organisers, say James Ogilvy's racing in this. I'm pretty sure I saw his name on the list earlier, and I'm sure we'll see him on the screen shortly. So as I was saying, anybody who completes the 10 races goes into draw for £251 prize money. And yesterday we started with 26 riders in the running, and we lost one yesterday. Dermot Doyle missed yesterday's race and therefore has fallen out of the running. So there's only 25 left. So there's an attritional sort of, you see Daniel Kadir's the man in second place at the moment, just behind Keith Aitchinson. So as I say, there is this this thing that if more riders drop out, then the better you've got the chance of the draw out of the people who finish. So the less people finishing the actual 10 race series, the better for those who do, because the odds on you getting that £251 increase proportionately. Jojo Rusinek, we see here, nicely tucked in there, doing 270 watts. That's not too excessive, and for a 4.8 degree gradient, 23 kph I think is pretty respectable, as Peter Wavell leads for Berkshire and OTR on the front. Jojo Rusinek just tucked in there alongside Sylvain. I'm trying to think what Sylvain's name is, and I do know. There's a little bit of a breakaway here. Keith Aitchinson stealing about 4 metres. We're on 7.7% here. We're well into this sort of red section if you look at the bottom. And Jojo Rusinek now out of the saddle and pushing hard, but doesn't really make it stick. John Beam's there as well. It's a trio breakaway. This is the sort of thing where if you can distance somebody, all right. And Daniel Kadir's is trying to distance himself from John Beam's, and this is probably the sort of course where you could, get a few minutes on somebody, because this is, let's say, 1,200 metres in 20 kilometres is quite a lot. And Daniel Kadir has pulled out 29 metres on John Beams. Is John Beams going to respond, or is he going to try and sit in and let somebody else do the work to pull Daniel back? It's hovering around 27, 28, 29 metres. So Daniel maintaining that gap. It's out to 30, 31, so maybe pull him out a little bit. But maybe John's just holding back and keeping his powder dry. He's actually pulling away from Sylvain, so I think he is trying to close the gap. He's down to 24 metres now. So I think there's definite effort by John to rein in Daniel here. Daniel pushing at 500, 600 watts of energy. To no avail though. He's getting closed down. It's only 19 metres back to John Beams now, so I think we can assume that this is going to close itself 15 metres, 14 metres. I think this is John Beams making a statement here. We see John in the photo there, in the little round disc there by his name. 500 watts. This is early in the race, though. You know, we could. There's John there actually, and I do wonder if this is a statement, isn't it? What can Daniel do? Daniel's going to sit in. Daniel's responding. So I think they're going to have to sit together. John's going for it again. Hey. Yeah, anything you can do, I can do, says Daniel. Right, says John. Yeah, this is a rip and tuck, isn't it? This is great fun. Great riding, guys, both of you. This is fantastic stuff. And Daniel's going for it again. This is not a bad time to attack. If John's just put a great effort into catching up, you know, sometimes just pull away can be quite demoralising. But John's holding his own here. Now remember, this isn't even the biggest climb because we're going up this valley side here, and you can see we're still only sort of 3.5 kilometres in. 16%, and Daniel obviously quite likes these steep bits because he's pulled away from John on the steep bit. He's attacked. That is decisive. I don't know whether he'll hold it over the whole climb. It may well be the case that John can claw some of that back on shallower climbs. It's only 7 or 8 metres and John's actually got it back as we drop down to 11. So Daniel very bravely attacking on that 16% ramp there. We're still only about halfway up the what I'd call the first climb up the side of the valley. We dip a little bit as we go down the side of another valley before the long haul up. Daniel's gone for it again. 10% this time. John's not having it. He's matching. This is nip and tuck, cat and mouse, whatever you want to call it. Any 2 words you like with and in the middle. But this is the John and Daniel show, isn't it? Look at this. The top 2 in GC just duking it out at the top here. Oh, and John's gone for it now. Has Daniel burnt his... Oh, look at that. John's going for it again. Daniel looks like he might just be slipping. That's gone out to 7, 8, 9 metres. We're on 6%, and Daniel's pulling back a little bit, I think. Maybe not. And he's certainly out of the saddle, pedalling hard, but it's looking 9, 10, 11 metres now. I think John has made a very decisive move here. Maybe not. Maybe not. It's come down to 4. What do I know? This is brilliant. Who needs a commentator? Just watch it. It's fantastic stuff. And Daniels says, look, you know, I haven't burnt all my matches. They're coming up just slightly softer bit now. Just after this, you can see the gradient on the profile reduces from red to orange. But look, it's only still 25 metres back to Sylvain, Guido, and Keith Etchinson. 30-40 metres. It's not massive. Jojo Rusinek now at 70, and Lee Marshall, Timo Ackenbach, and Jan Suard probably now out of sight. Jonathan Stevens and B Herrera. Daniel doing one. Look, it goes up to 16%, and this is where Daniel likes to attack. Now, if he can make one of these stick, brilliant. But I think John knows at the moment it shallows. He's got the power to pull it back. We're talking about 7, 8 metres here. He's down to 3.7%, and immediately John Beams looks like he's closing back in. So, what have we learnt so far? I hope you're paying attention at the back. Daniel likes to attack on very steep 15-16% gradients. Can't make them stick so far because Daniel's catching up when the gradient shallows. but who is burning the most matches? Remember, there's 7 minutes in this. Daniel needs a few minutes. You know, a few seconds is not really going to close that gap. Let's have a look what's happening further back. Third, fourth, and fifth, all within sight of each other, but nothing in vision behind that. Thyon and Sylvain and Keith Aitchison. Keith Aitchison now 42 metres back from Thyon and Sylvain, the French duo. Will they work together? I don't know. Talou, Sylvain pushing out 300 watts. I don't know if they know each other and they're working together or not. We shall see over the course of this, but there's certainly a French duo looking to battle out third place on the podium. Keith Aitchison, Barcelona, Barcelonian Brit, he sounds like. He'll probably turn out to be American or Australian now I've said that, but maybe he'll let us know at some point. For future commentaries, because I know he races quite regularly on RGT, and I've certainly seen him on here before. Jojo Ruzinek, and he's putting out 300. I think to consistently put out 300 over one of these climbs is quite impressive, and certainly there's people putting out a lot more on some of the steeper sections. 10%, this is not easy. Putting out 15 kilometres an hour at a 10%, I think is very, very decent on RGT, which, depending on how you have your settings, but as a general rule, I think is slightly harder than other platforms. Certainly, default setting isn't a soft one like Zwift puts you on. So, as I say, you can adjust it to kind of the Zwift settings equivalent, which is about 50% resistance. But as I say, that's not quite cheating. That's just a preference. You lose a little bit in some places, but I'll get the techie people to explain that sort of thing because I'm not fully sure of all the implications. Interesting to see these groups holding together because I do always say when I'm out on club rides that hills always shatter every group, but this isn't totally shattered. There's quite a few people. They might be strung out in a line, but they're all within spitting distance of each other. There's Timo Achenbach from Moonriders, German. You can see him in the little circle there. Vest undone. I bet you're sweating and you're absolutely baking hot. Thanks for the wave, Timo. You look cool, actually. I have to say, I marvel at how they can keep a cool face like that while doing nearly 10% climb in a race. It's fantastic. Well done, Timo. So this little group here, John Beams and Daniel Cadiz have been caught by the French duo. I hadn't so busy looking at Timo's facial expressions that I've missed that little catch. So Guillet and Sylvain, and who else have we got up there? Keith Aitchison from Barcelona. So we've now got a group of 5. If Guillet can keep up, Jerome Sylvain looking quite strong. I think Guillet is probably struggling to keep on that, which is a real shame, having made so much effort to get up there. 5.45, we're a quarter of the way through the race approximately. 7.5% gradient. It'd be nice to see Guillet get in on this. I don't know what his data is. Be interesting to see. But I'd like that group to be 5 because I think that would make for an interesting race. And you do wonder if between them, Daniel Cadiz and John Beams have burnt a few matches. Nicolas Guillet, Frenchman, 5, putting out 3:43. He's putting out, I mean, that's probably, just having a look at the side. He's putting out similar sort of efforts to the guys just in front of him. Certainly the guys just in front of him at the back of the group, and he does seem to be within striking distance. It's only 7 or 8 metres, but the difference between being 7 or 8 metres back and actually on the wheel does cause you to put in a lot more effort. The draft effect is quite profound here. So let's see, Nicolas down to about 6-7. Looks like he's getting closer, but it's Beams and Diz who've been dropped. They have been dropped by Sylvain and Keith Aitchison. now taking up the reins, and it does look like that little spat between John Beams and Daniel Cadiz might have cost them dear, but no, they're not having any of that. They're making a statement as they fly by. Nearly 6 kilometers. Nicolas Guillot responded to. Wow, this is quite exciting on the front, isn't it? Glad you tuned in. So Keith Atkinson now, John Beams. John Beams, I think he smells blood there. They're on the downhill bit, and you'll see if you look at the bottom of your screen, they're about to hit a blue bit. And if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see it's -7%. Surprisingly, I've noticed in a lot of RGT races, you can actually make big gaps on here. If you pedal hard and make the most of a downhill, not everybody gets down them as quick as some of the better riders. I know this because I've been dropped on downhills. Thyon is on John Beam's wheel. Maybe the others just working together, doing enough to make up the gap, although John puts in another spurt on this little upward bit of 6-7%. And you would favour Daniel Cadiz to do something about this. John Beams from Worcester in the UK, I'd call it the southwest, but I suppose it's probably the Midlands actually in the UK. If you're not from the UK, it's sort of what do we say, west of Birmingham in the Midlands, and very nice county it is too. I haven't cycled there a lot, but the bits I've done are very, very nice. John Beams pedalers now at the front with Nicolas Sylvain just behind him. Keith Atkinson leading the other trio, and we're back to the 5. So at 6, well, we're coming up to 7 meters, so we're about a third of the way through the race nearly, and we've got this group of 5. Now I think that's quite impressive for a climbing race like this. You would expect it to fragment quite a lot. Now you might argue, if you look at the bottom of the screen, that trail of white dots after the big blob at the front suggests that it is very spread out, and you wouldn't totally be wrong. But what we have got is a nice competitive little bunch to slug this one out, and just look what they've got coming. So guys, just enjoy this little bit of green profile that you're going along now, a couple of bits of blue in there, because things are going to get nasty. Just look how much red you've got in the second half of the course. Well, we look forward to that, because if you can keep this race as entertaining as you have done so far, guys, we're in for an absolute cracker. So, from the aerial views, Sylvain is in the lead, although, as I say, I think this is the rotating lead. Is Daniel Cadiz just slipping off the back a little bit there? Hope not, but we shall see. Now, further back, who have we got here? James Ogilvie. Now, we've got to give mention James Ogilvie. He's with Hudel, 2 OTR riders. You can see OTR down the back of the jersey there. Now, James Ogilvie, of course, of OTR, is the man who puts all this together, so he's a very important person. We give him lots of airtime and kudos. And as a fellow race organiser, and my race is coming up after this, don't forget this is a double bill. So after this at 7:30, it's West London VR race 4.3. We are for the first time outside of the West London area, and we're actually having a race based on Ghent city centre in Belgium, and that's all to do with the what I did it as a little bit of a tribute to the 6 days of Ghent in the Velodrome, which is happening next week. Called it 6 laps of Ghent, so I did a little crit course which we do 6 laps. So James Ogilvie here, and his stats coming up. Ghent, despite the Scottish Saltire in there, and actually, James, I have to say my Facebook is full of my Scottish friends who are in Moldova at the moment for important World Cup games, getting very drunk by the looks of things with the Tartan Army. James is based though in Kent, which is right at the opposite end of the UK to Scotland, of course, and probably has to put up with lots of England fans, I would imagine, down there in the Garden of England. But James is a very important person because he does put these things together, runs a lot of stuff, puts a lot of effort into the whole RGT setup, and I think we're very lucky to have him. So a chapeau to you, James. Paul Pudel from Offenburg in Germany, another OTR rider. It's great to see some of these teams being so international rather than necessary groups of people who know each other as well already, but I also love it when you get a local club that is strong enough to compete with these international teams. So both sides of this fascinate me, and I think it's fantastic. The community that RGT is building, absolutely superb. and Paul Goodell just going off the front there. So we'll. Who else have we got? Enough about James. He's a good player, but we better not pick him up too much. Milo Simpel is the other rider in here, and I'm just trying to see, is that that's a Czech Republic? Is that Czech? No, maybe the Czech Republic flag. I'm not sure. Forgive my ignorance. Sorry. I shall have to look that one up later. I don't recognise every flag in the world. Anyway. You're riding very, very well, and you're in very good company as well. So we go back to the front. Now the 5, a little bit split up. The Beams and Cadiz still together with Nicolas Gouillet. And we go back to 21st place here now. And we have Murray, John by the way, in 23rd. Now that's, we've got Fran Hayes actually, whose stats are up. Fran from the UK in the resplendent bright green fluo kit with C. Pancras and Chris Pancras, that is, and pushing out 154 watts, making the most of the slipstream. They are on a -4 gradient, so they're looking far more comfortable than normal. Nice little wave from James Ogilvie. Hiya. And a wave again. He's obviously listening. Go on, James, get in there. Stuart Murray. Also from OTR, as you can see, the white, black and green kit there, recognisable anywhere across the RGT spectrum. And as I say, can't say it too much, OTR take the trouble to put these on for us, and we are very, very, very grateful. 23rd, John by the way. Now he's an important person too, and he's got RGT after his name, and that's because he is part of RGT. So there we are, the best platform out there, and it has the best people working for it, and they actually come out and ride it with us as well, so they know what we're pleased with and perhaps sometimes what we're not pleased with. I know that John's been very, very helpful to me over the years when I've been promoting and presenting RGT races. He's been an absolute brilliant help and very supportive, and thank you very much. There's lots of Murrays in this, isn't there? We've got 2 Murrays there, one with the Sultan and one with Union Jack. So I don't know if that's certainly, I would always regard Murray as a Scottish name, but then again I have a Scottish name as well, but I don't sound very Scottish, do I? Shields, another man with the Sultan, Martin Shields there, and he's in 24th at the moment, pushing out 198 watts, and this is sort of probably the level I ride at as well. And he's got some company. He's got, who's he got? It's Paul and Misva, and I'm just trying to see who's the other one then. Galizzi, Italian. It was nice to see some Italians in here, and it's nice to see that. I think just recently I get the feeling we're getting more and more Italians. There's always plenty of Belgians, and the French contingent's growing. Denmark's, or you see in there, you've got the Amaze from Denmark. Denmark have put in some great Merswa, sorry. Denmark have put some great riders into recent races, and Netherlands, of course, and Germany, great contributors, and the USA. So it's nice to see some more southern. Oh, and let's not forget Spain, but it's nice to see more Italians. I mean, I often wonder why we didn't see as many as I would have expected, but I think there's a few more joining in the RGT revolution, and that's good to see. Daniel Cadiz and John Beams now duking out once more. Are they going to pull away from these two? This is the early stages of a very, very long climb. Now, if they can maintain this, and we're looking at 17%, once again, Daniel Cadiz does this on the steepest bits. He's obviously a very, very, very good climber, and I think Daniel once told me off for getting the wrong flag, but I think that's Puerto Rico, but I might be wrong. It's certainly one of those islands around the west coast of America. Francois Ike, go Moon Riders. Hiya, Francois. Good to hear from you. Glad you're watching. Hopefully, we're seeing you in the West London race very, very shortly, and good luck in that. And we shall see what happens. Francois, you like a bit of climbing, don't you? Is this your sort of climbing, or you prefer those shorter, more punchy Belgian climbs down there in the Ardennes. Let me know, Francois. Now, Daniel is not distancing John Beams enough here, I think, to make it stick. But Nicolas Guyot and oh, it's Chile. Sorry. So how wrong did I get the flag? Ouch. So Daniel is from Chile. Sorry about that one. I was guessing my sort of South American flags, and I was just so way off geographically. That was terrible. Anyway, we now know, and we probably now know why Daniel Cadiz can go up 17% gradients, because if you live in Chile, there's a lot of them. Oh, look at that hairpin, isn't that fantastic? They're so iconic, hairpins. We're definitely on this bit up to the ski station. We're on our way to Thyon, which is in French-speaking part of Switzerland. We're south of the River Rhone, south of Thyon. Thyon, or Thyon, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It's always intrigued me. I hadn't really sort of taken a lot of notice. Oh, who've got the Zoom room? Let's have a look at this. James Ogilvie in there. Give us a wave, James. Maybe not. It's too concentrated. We've got Timo Ackenbach from Germany, and of course John Beams. My God, how smooth they look compared to what me blowing away when I'm on my trainer. Well done, guys, and thanks very much for coming into the Zoom room. It's good to see you all. As I was saying, we're in Thyon, which is in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, south of the River Rhone and Thyon. Thyon, this is sort of just east of Lake Geneva or Lake Léman, depending on which you want to pronounce it in French or German. And we're just south of Thyon, actually. Saint-Martin, Thyon, le parcours aujourd'hui. Anyway, we've got plenty of views here. Sylvain is a little bit off, but they're inseparable, aren't they? Beams and Cadiz, and certainly now that I know that Daniel Cadiz is a Chilean, I can understand the mountain climbing. Nicolas Guyot and Sylvain, not quite sticking together. The French duo not as coherent as they once were, and of course I'm sure Nicolas would love to get that podium spot in third place for France, and probably national alliances may just fracture a little bit here. He's actually catching Daniel Cadiz, although I think there is a possibility with Sylvain not that far back that he may even, I'm just having a look at this, 9 meters. I'm not sure whether you get any benefit of the draft. Probably not now when that's stretched out to 14-15. I think Sylvain's gone, so we've got a trio, and it may well be that our podium is going to be made up of that trio, given that we are on this last but long climb. 9 kilometers to go. Now we've been racing for 29-30 minutes now, so we've just hit half an hour of racing. So we're here at 6:30 in the UK. It's probably 7:30 if you're in mainland Western Europe. Now Nicolas Guyot has stormed away by 58 meters as we go around the next hairpin up to this ski resort at Thyon. Thyon 2000. It is also known as, I'm not quite sure why it's 2000, but it is actually, it's probably something to do with the height, because it's 2095 meters above sea level. Now, I don't know how thin the air is getting in various people's garages, kitchens, lounges and sheds when they're at home, but if you were doing this in real life, we're probably the best part of 1,500 meters at least up the mountain, because looking at that, there's probably 600 meters to go. So yeah, I would say about probably at altitude of about 1,500 meters if we were doing this in real life. My experience is that at around 2,000 meters the air starts to feel thinner. I've heard people say that who know better than me. I don't know how realistic it is. Cadiz is now 35 miles behind Beams. 35 meters behind Beams. I think Beams might just have snapped the elastic on that one. I don't think that is a big gap, and at this stage of the race, unless John cracks, and he showed no signs of that yesterday, I think well, this is now 90, going up to 100 meters. So I think we are going to see another emphatic distancing by John Beams. We see him in the little circle at the bottom of our screens, and I do wonder if these poker faces that these guys are able to have, despite the fact they're going up steep climbs for a long time, is something they rehearse just so that their opponents don't realise how much they're suffering, and probably demoralises everybody else. But we'll have to do an interview with them one day and see what they say. But Daniel Cadiz is in 4th place, but he is with Thyon Sylvain, and therefore probably got a chance still of making the podium. Although Thyon just pulling away a little bit there. I think Daniel. Never write Daniel off, because, as we say, now we've discovered he's from Chile. Or I've discovered he's from Chile. I think he knew all along. Actually, Taro's just pulled away a bit, hasn't he? And mind you, I think 4th place is fairly secure. If you look at Keith Ashidson now, nearly 300 metres behind Daniel, and we've got Peter Brookwavel, another 450. Jojo Rusinek, Timo Achenbach, and John Stevens now clearly out of reach as we look at Keith Ashidson now in the resplendent in the OTR kit. OTR and Moon Riders, similar colours, but the kit's not to be confused, as there's a nice green and yellow band across the Moon Riders jerseys. Doesn't that scenery look fantastic? I think the RGT scenery does itself proud when you do hairpins, and I don't get to do many on my routes because of the nature of the routes, but on the 1 or 2 occasions where I've actually managed to do something like that, I'm quite impressed by the way it portrays itself, even if it isn't the actual world you're in. As you can see, this just zigzags. I mean, this is one of those. If you look at all these ski resorts, a lot of them are zigzags up to the top. Mount Terres is obviously the one that you see the aerial shots of most often, but I'm pretty sure Otakam and places like that are pretty much the same as you go up. This is just hairpin after hairpin, and as you see, Timo Achenbach, German Moon Riders rider, pushing out 273. You can see him in the Zoom room there, looking cool still, jersey unzipped. No doubt got the fan blowing on you, haven't you, Timo? And plenty of water to keep you cool. But 8th place, and nicely in front of John Stevens' Moon Riders teammate. So you keep going steady, and you've got Jojo Rusinek within sight here, just 50 metres ahead and dropping. So putting a bit of effort, Timo, and you might get some. John Stevens from Southam, again Moon Riders kit, we recognise with that green and yellow, and so John's quite a way behind Timo at the moment, but you need to keep going, John, because you've got Vittorio and Lee Marshall within striking distance, I'd say, and probably reasonably safe for a top 10-11 position, but don't take that for granted, because there is still a long way to go. 8 kilometres to go, and it's all uphill, guys. Keep going. David Vittorino is pushing out 250 watts almost. So David Vittorino is Portuguese, of course. 7% now for Johan Suard, a Frenchman. Johan pushing out 160 watts. I don't know if at 12th place it's at the point where you just settle in and take the riders. Barbara Herrera sits behind and takes the draft. Very shrewd move, Barbara. Well done. It's exactly what I think I would do if I could. Oh, I say that, and she pushes ahead a little bit. Severin Lepolek, Swiss, riding in his home territory, no doubt literally and on the screen, pushing out 230 watts. Again, this seems to be about the average for this mid-pack sort of top 20 riders. Fran Hayes, again, 250 watts. This seems to be the settle-in pace to do this. We're hovering around, we're under 10% on most of this section by the looks of things. I don't think, I mean, the gradient obviously juggles around a little bit as we go to 9% here with Fran Hayes and James Ogilvie hitting 10%. But I think if you look at the shades of the colours, James, again, another one on that sort of mid 200s, pushes it slightly up to 300 watts as we hit 11%. But I think if you look at the shade of red at the profile at the bottom of your screen, you can see it sort of goes, it's almost stripy, isn't it? It's not deep red all the way through like that very early hill was. So I think, again, well, 13%, but let's see how long that lasts. I mean, we've got a bend coming up. It might be that we go around this bend with James and Fran here, and things settle down, although 14%. It looks like it peaks, doesn't it, visually? And I think the RGT screens are quite reliable in that sense. So we go back to Nicolas Guyot, who is now absolutely storming it ahead of John Beams, and is probably, if I'm going to put a bet on, going to win this, although there's still a long way to go. Well done, Nicolas. I think this is quite an impressive ride. I mean, if you can beat John Beams by that much, if you hold this, boy, well done, chapeau. And yeah, I'm very impressed. 360 watts. And it's interesting, isn't it, that Nicolas at the front here is putting out almost 100 watts more than the people around, you know, so I don't know, 10th to 17th, that sort of range. He probably needs to do this if he wants to keep John Beams at bay, because John is a pretty prolific rider. See what he's putting out. John's putting out a bit less. That's interesting. And he's got Thyon Sylvain not far behind him. And it's John Beams sitting in, comfortable in the fact that he's probably distanced Daniel Cadiz by a couple of 100 meters. Only John will know. And he's so poker-faced and cool. Just look at him at the picture. You wouldn't know this is a man struggling up a steep hill, would you? It's very impressive. Visually, it looks like Thyon Sylvain might be making up a little bit of ground on John here. I suspect, though, as I say, John's probably not totally bothered about positions, and he gives this away. Thank you, John. Good to see you. Yeah, Taro's just behind you, by the way. Look at the way he responds. What a competitor. Fantastic stuff. I think Taro's probably going to catch you and sit on your wheel for a couple of 100 meters as we go around the next hairpin, which is obviously steeper than the general gradient. John Beams just putting that little bit of extra effort in as we go up 9%, and Taro not quite matching that, but I got a feeling that he won't let himself get dropped off as he puts a bit more in. 350 watts about, down to 300 watts of output. So this is probably lower than Nicolas at the front, and we'll have to see what Nicolas putting out in a little while. But so having caught John Beams, he's not. And there's Daniel Cadiz. Now let's see what his stats are if we can. 303. So again, it's notably higher than the batches behind. Time is important to Daniel here because he doesn't want John beating him by too much. 7 minutes apart at the beginning of this race, remember. That looks like it's going to extend. It probably is a bit of an arse to make up something like 10 minutes in the next two races. Remember, there's 2 races left. Race 8 tomorrow, by the way, if you want to watch that, Derek Bocock is broadcasting that. If you go on RGT users or RGT user events, you'll get details. Derek's doing it tomorrow. He's streaming it. It's not on ZMS, so just look out for that with Derek. We'll be back on Friday, though, with yours truly. And I might even try and remember that Daniel Cadiz is from Chile and not trying to attribute him to various islands in the Atlantic. Peter Brookwavel, just behind Keith Aitchison, 235. So and it's interesting again. you know, Peter's in 6th. This is his sort of top 10s seem to be putting out over 300s, and the next batch after that around 250 watts. We don't know what we don't know what else the rest of the pack further back does. Jojo Rusinek again, or we, you know, I mean Jojo's 250 in 7th, so maybe that's where the gap is. I mean, we'll have a look in a minute. Timo here, he's putting out 276. We can see Timo live there, and swaying around and putting the effort in. Go on, Timo, just round the bend. Look, you've got Jojo just in front of you. Go for it, mate. Go for it. The scenery is, although this is stock scenery, it does come out rather nicely and look spectacular in these races. So, wow, I didn't realise that Tharo Sylvain is now ahead of John Beams. Not by much. They're actually they're together, aren't they? That's momentary. I think they're sharing turns, but they are now 300 meters behind Nicolas Guyot. So my prediction, albeit that you know it was towards the end when things were looking good for Nicolas that he would win, are probably still good predictions. So Britain versus France for 2nd or 3rd, I think, and given the spats that the two countries are having about fishing and a few other things at the moment, I'm sure that President Macron and Boris Johnson are sitting eagerly waiting to see how this one pans itself out. I don't know where Tharo is from in France. So I don't know whether northern French fishermen are critical to his viewpoints on politics or not. But anyway, I think Britain and France, we've been great neighbours for centuries, and that includes the friendly bits and the wars. So much of our history is intertwined, and two truly great nations with great histories. And as much as I think modern politics sometimes wants to forget some of the things that happened in the past, let's not forget the positives that went with some of the negatives, because we don't want to lose everything in the wash. But here we have another classic French-English battle, and we shall see who wins on the neutral territory of Switzerland. I always grew up wondering why Switzerland was neutral, and it always seemed a bit of an odd policy for a country to have a neutrality mentality. And I discovered that the reason was that in hundreds of years ago, and I don't know quite when, but a long time ago, it was quite common for Swiss farmers and workers to go and get employed as mercenaries in other people's armies, because sometimes the farming didn't yield the crops, or you know, the harsh winter meant they couldn't do anything, so you could go away and earn money by being a mercenary in other people's armies. And by being a neutral country, it meant that these people could go and fight for anybody, because Switzerland didn't build up too many enemies. So the neutrality is based on the idea that you know, individuals can go and pick sides to go and fight for in hard times. I'm not sure that the modern mentality would quite comprehend the notion of I'm a bit hard up, let's go and have a war. But I'm told that was the reason for Switzerland adopting neutrality. So Nicolas now 330 metres ahead of his countryman Tharo Sylvain, and Brit John Beams. Chilean Daniel Cadiz is now on his own and probably comfortably ahead of Keith Atchison, who is probably now, I think if you look down that top 10, it's probably, with the exception of these two, the order they're going to finish in, because I suppose Timo Achenbach and Jojo Rusinek are fairly close, but most of the others are split enough, I think. They see Jojo and Timo, they're teammates, but will they race each other at the line? I bet they do. I bet they do. And they'll make it spectacular for everybody watching here on ZMS. Remember, 46 minutes into this, 5 kilometres go. We've done 3/4 of it. So you're looking at effectively an hour's race. but you don't switch off ZMS when you finish. There is another race coming up, and I'm bound to plug it because it's mine. West London BR Race 4.3. This is the third in Series 4. The West London Series goes on for 6 months. It's every other Wednesday. It's not like this one where it's every night over a period. It's a 6-month series, every other Wednesday. We're into the third race. There's 3 riders at the top within 2 points of each other. It's very, very exciting, and we've got a crit race around Ghent. As I say, tomorrow night, if you want to watch Tour de Alps, make sure you check out Derek Wilcox's stream. Derek is, of course, an OTR man, and you can get the details of that if you go onto Facebook and find the RGT users page. Friday night, we're back with Tour de Alps, and if you've got to ride after that, and I suggest you have, I thoroughly recommend Friday Frenzy, the Southborough District Wheelers race run by Simon Miller. I've done a few of those Southborough ones myself. Absolutely fantastic, and what a fantastic club Southborough District Wheelers are. And they have some quite good riders as well. They do very well as a team. So John and Thyon still together. I don't know if John is putting a little bit of a spurt on. We're on a downhill. If you remember the earlier downhill section, John attacked, and he fancies himself a bit on the downhills, but Thero's responding in kind. So I think these two are probably together till the end. John Beams pulled away quite well at the end yesterday, so we don't know how much he's got in reserve. He'll know, but as we've seen from the pictures, he'll be poker-faced and none of us can tell. So whatever I predict would be wrong. 13% now. Just look how slow they're going. Still faster than I would do it, of course. But look at that, 7 kph. Sylvain eking out a metre or two there, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think when this shallows, John will be back. We saw him do that to Daniel earlier on. But this is holding fast. I mean, this is quite a deep red section. Now, of all the second climb, this is probably the most concerted sort of red section. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, it probably feels like it's eased off at 11%. Or imagine that. John's not giving up, and I think he's creeping up to Taro's wheel here. Meanwhile, Nicolas Guyot has eked out 380, another 50 odd metres since the last time I sort of referred to that. Fantastic visage, and fantastic visage as they go around the virage bend. Looks like those little green sections almost remind me of golf courses. I don't know if that's by design as well, but here we are going through Thyon golf course. Imagine that, every shot would be on a steep hillside, wouldn't it? Daniel Cadiz there, now distanced by quite a lot. He's in no man's land between John Beams and Peter Brookwaggle, and he's probably destined to finish 4th and lose more time, I'm afraid, on John Beams. But I think, nevertheless, Daniel's been absolutely brilliant in this series, and I think should be very, very proud of himself. If you finish second in the series, that's excellent. And you're in strong company here as well. Remember, Daniel, these are no slackers. This lot, these are all names that you see regularly in RGT races. Strong riders, decent riders, good riders. You're in strong company. You come second, you might be disappointed, but just have a look down the field rather than up it and reflect upon how well you've done. Now you can see Peter is now on the green section. He's got a -3 descent there, so it's sort of greeny blue. Not quite visible as blue on the profile at the bottom of your screen, but nevertheless, no doubt enjoying that. Don't worry, Peter, it doesn't last. There's some nice chunky red bits coming up with some steep gradients, as we've just seen with Thyo Sylvain and John Beams. Keith Atchison, another OTR rider. Plenty of OTRs and room riders in this, and they are both strong e-racing clubs. I'll leave them to give their histories, but my perception is that most of these clubs evolved through particularly platforms like RGT. I know some of them were riders who were riding solo who just connected via RGT. And I think Keith can see Peter Bookwavel ahead of him, 56 metres. And actually, when you look at this, with the steep bit to come, if any of, I think, Keith Atkinson, Timo Achenbach and Jojo Rusnek were to crack, this could really decide what happens next. So, Timo, for the first time, I think, looking like he's grimacing a little bit. Or was that a smile? It's a smile, isn't it? Yes, it's definitely a smile. He's loving every minute of it. Sit on Jojo's wheel. I think they're closing in on Keith. Yeah, it's only 20 metres. Could have a trio here. We could have a trio. So a couple of Moon Riders and an OTR rider coming together now. Yep, we've got a trio. So let's see what happens next. Now they are hitting the really steep bits. It's 12% already. Probably about to get worse. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's Keith that's. Maybe Keith is just going to get overtaken. Let's see what Jojo and Timo decide they're going to do about this. It's sitting there at the moment as we go past some cheering spectators. Lots of ladies. That's obviously the wives and girlfriends come out to cheer the lads on. 10%. They're sticking together as a little trio, aren't they? Are they working together, or is it just all as energetic or tired as each other? Who knows? Who knows? We're back with Nicolas Guyot, and he's comfortably 560 odd meters ahead of these two, and these two are inseparable at the moment. I wonder if this is going to come down to a sprint, or just one of them is going to have the energy and the other one just looks up and shrugs their shoulders and lets the other one go. Now if you look at the profile where we are, the big light bulb bubble on the red section is John and Tarot. About to a bit of orange, so the gradient will probably drop down under 5%, I would guess. It's about 8% at the moment, as you can tell from the top. If that drops down to about 5, then they're back on the red. And then right at the end, it's green. Now, I don't know what the gradient is on the green bit, but if you've got any legs, it's got to be worth a sprint, hasn't it? It's got to be. I'm sure John's thinking that. He's bound to be, isn't he? Can Nicolas eke this out to 600 metres? This is emphatic. This is absolutely brilliant. 1.3 kilometres to go for Nicolas. I think he's got it, because they've got to ride 50% faster than him to catch him, and that's not going to happen, particularly on these gradients. I think this is only 1.8 kilometres to go for them. It means that the little green bit at the end can't be very, very long. I don't know how many metres that'll be. It might only be 20, somewhere between 20 and 50 metres. So not a lot of sprinting time, but the legs they're probably going to have by the time they get there. Nicolas can see the Flamme Rouge, and it's coming home. Its lead slipped a little bit down to 560, not a lot, but he could probably sit back and relax. That's assuming he doesn't want the time. I don't think Nicolas was in our top 25. Remember, the top 25 go through to the draw for the prize of £251, and I can't see Nicolas in the 25. So a win's a win, I suspect, for Nicolas and France. I think the French are going to be cheering on Nicolas all the way to the line. 926 metres and 575 in front of Thierry Sylvain and John Beams. I think it's safe to say that he's going to get it, and he's on 10%, but he's not going to. I mean, there's still things that can go wrong in these races. I mean, you can get a technical. You've got to have your Wi-Fi, give you a drop out or something like that, or your computer plays up. You can be finished. So nothing's for certain, but I think we should probably state that Nicolas is coming home with flying colours in all his glory. it's a shame there isn't a huge crowd to cheer him along. You know, if this was the top of a mountain in one of the Grand Tours, the place would be heaving with people cheering him, and there'd be buzzing atmosphere. Unfortunately, not there. But I suspect there's Frenchmen all over the place watching ZMS right now who are cheering in their homes. Perhaps that's a future feature for ZMS. Crowd noise from the people at home. But he's still having to struggle through 12%. It's not fair, is it? I'm nearly finished. I want to get home. It's only 500 metres and you're making me do 14%. It's cruel. Ooh, look at that for a hairpin. Wow. And John Beams and Thyon Sylvain are still together. Comfortably ahead of Daniel Cadiz, who's a long way ahead of Brook Wevel. And Brook Wevel seems to have distanced Jojo Rusinek and Timo Akabak, who had just caught him. So it's looking like the OTR man is going to finish in 5th. Right, so John and Thyon coming under the Flamme Rouge. That's their 1 metre to go. But remember, most of that 1 kilometre to go. Most of that kilometre is fairly steep, as we've just seen with Nicolas Guyot. And Nicolas is still 300 agonising metres from the finishing line as he struggles up yet another hairpin at 17.6%. Ouch. Nearly there, Nicolas. Nearly there. 250 metres. There's a little 250 metre sign at the side of the road. I'm sure he wished that said 150 metres. We have another one, 200 metres. And still it's uphill. What's this one saying? 150. Oh, it's nice to have this little countdown, isn't it? I'm quite impressed by that. Nice little touch. 100 metres. And we can see the finishing straight with all the advertising boards. 75. Just in case you want to sprint. I don't think anybody's going to catch you, Nicolas. Bravo! Well done. You know what? I said it's flat at the top because it goes green. 2.2%, so it's still uphill. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Nicolas Guyot. And, it's Thyon. I think, Thyon Sylvain is the man with the legs left. And he's hit John on that final bit of climbing, 600 metres. I'll tell you what, though, in one of these things, I find 500, 600 metres a long way out to sustain any sprint. And I know this isn't quite a sprint in the same way, but if Thyon Sylvain is actually, blown out of every orifice at the moment, it's still a long way to go. And if John's keeping a bit back for a little bit at the end, you never know. But my suspicion is that 50 metres on this sort of gradient is a lot to make up. Still, as we look though, 460 metres to go. I have seen some great catches. Go for it, John. Go for it, John. It's it's got to be worth it. Anyway, not only that. Let's have a look at the time. So 700 metres distance between John Beams and Daniel Cadiz. I mean, you're going to chuck, I would guess, at this sort of gradient, a couple of minutes possibly into Daniel Cadiz, at least. So I think this is probably going to be the point at which John Beams, as long as he maintains some decent form in the last 2 races, has probably made himself winner-elect of this. Look at that, Thyon, 15%. Maybe John can just do something about that. I don't know. It's 42 metres with 250 metres to go. That's a lot. That's a lot to make up. And John on the steeper bit as Thyon pulls out 55 metres gap with 200 to go for Thyon. Can John do anything about this? He's out to 70 metres. It's probably not going to happen. So we're going to get 1-2 for the French. Chapeau. Chapeau. This is terrific stuff. A great race for the French in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. Here we are just south of the Rhone. Saint-Martin, Thyon, which is a ski resort just east of Lake Geneva, Lake Léman. And say southern Switzerland in the French-speaking part. And here we have it, a 1-2 for France. Well done, absolutely well done this year. So here we have John, who's going to come in 3rd place, podium place yet again for John, who's been emphatic in this series. Gives us a big wave. Well done, John. Is that a smile I saw there? Did you actually smile? You've had the straightest face all through this race, and I think you just cracked and smiled at the end there, John. Daniel Cadiz will be disappointed that he's given more ground to John Beams, but he has been a star of this series and probably will be over the next 2 races as well. Now, of course, what we need to do next is remind you that to find out of the 25 who were still effectively in the running for that prize draw for £251 prize money. Remember, if you do all 10 races, you go in the draw for £251, and there were 25 riders left in that. Okay, now Daniel will be disappointed that he's given up more time to John Beams, but he will still be in that draw, and he has as much chance, I suspect, of winning that draw as John does. So what we want to know is, will there still be 25 riders this evening? Now, the way to find out is you go onto RGTDB, that's RGT database, if you want to understand what the acronym stands for, Ride Grand Tours database. So it's rgtdb.com, and I'm pretty sure that James Ogilvie will put the results up later this evening, and we can all look and see exactly who's left in the race. This has been a fantastic series. Well done, James, for putting this on, and everybody else at OTR. Remember, OTR's Derek Bocock is broadcasting this on his stream tomorrow, not ZMS, if you want to watch it. And we'll be back on Friday for the last race to see how it all pans out. Although we'll still be relying on James to put the results together. And I believe there's some sort of podcast on Saturday where they have the final roundup and the draw for the prize, I believe. I'm sure James will correct me if I'm wrong, but this has been superbly executed. There's 17%. Go on, Daniel. Come on, Daniel. It's I think if you come second in this series, you have been phenomenal, and it's great to actually to have South Americans in this. The time zone doesn't always suit everybody in the Americas, and assuming you actually live in Rebecca Beams, you must be proud of your husband. I assume it's your husband, or your brother, maybe, or son. I don't know. But yeah, we're all cheering for John Beams. John Beams has been phenomenal in this, hasn't he? It's been absolutely amazing. I hope if you're in the same house, Rebecca, give him a big hug and give him congratulations from everybody at ZMS. And yeah, Brian Kellis, I like the wave across the line as well. Well done for spotting that. And thanks for coming in, Brian, and commenting on that. As Daniel Cadiz comes home, he's got 75 metres to go. If anybody else has got any messages, stick them up now, because we'd like to read them out. We are going to stick around for a little while and watch other riders come in, because RGT racing is for everybody. It's not all about the winners. Daniel Cadiz coming in, and Peter Brookwavel coming in next with 250 metres to go. Daniel, to ride so well over this series and always finish second to John Beams, must be frustrated, and we have to sort of refer back to Raymond Poulador. And I would say this, that although Raymond Poulador might have been the eternal second, he was, of course, much loved across France for many, many years. And in fact, although only momentarily, I did once meet him for a minute or so, and he was very polite and courteous and seemed a very nice guy too. Peter Brookwavel from Berkshire coming in. Peter, let me know at some point where you come from in Berkshire so I can be more precise. Jojo Rusnak, Canadian, and Timo Achenbach, who's in the Zoom room. Timo about to lose out to his Moonriders teammate. I'm sure that'd be slightly disappointing on a personal level, but pleased that at least it's another Moonrider who's pulling away from you to still 6th place from you. Timo, one of the regular riders on RGT, one of the faces that we're always pleased to see in these races. Jojo just coming home there now on 1 hour 6 minutes. Now remember, Wouter Clays of Belgium was in the hot seat at 1:04, and we've beaten that front. Certainly, John Beams has by a substantial amount, and so did Nicolas, who won the race, of course. So this was at least 4 minutes quicker than Wouter's hot seat time earlier today. Keith Atchison coming in, Barcelona man, and that's pretty decent. Age 62. I don't think that's going to be sniffed at. You must be one hell of an athlete. It must be all that clean Mediterranean air in Barcelona. That's what I reckon it is. So well done, Keith. Very, very good. I see Keith rides for OTR, but has a Spanish flag. I'm interested to know if he's actually Spanish or just decided to reside there. John Stevens with the UK flag is coming in next. A very creditable 9th place. 1 hour 07, and bear in mind that hot seat was 1 hour 4. You know, you're only 3 minutes off this morning's hot seat. Vitorino from Portugal is next up, and he's my husband, and thanks for the comments. He's given it more than 100% every time, Rebecca tells us. I tell you what, I haven't watched them all, Rebecca, but I unfortunately, I was very, very tied up last week and didn't get to catch up. I started watching it this week, and I have been very, very impressed by your husband. You must be very, very proud. As I say, well done, John. This is very impressive and very entertaining as well. I mean, I've loved every minute of this. 7% as Vitorino comes in, Portuguese coming in 10th place. 75 metres to go as the crowd clap him home. Well done, sir. Another creditable performance. Lee Marshall is next up in 11th with the St George's flag for England. Another British rider. 25 metres to go, and he's going to park himself next to Vitorino, and no doubt they'll all congratulate themselves on a great ride. So we have the Swiss rider Le Poet coming in next. Séverine Le Poet. So on home ground, and a very, very respectable 12th place. Going to do it in under 1:10, I would like to think. No, it's not. Probably it's 500 metres to go, so probably going to be outside 1 hour 10 minutes as we see the full lineup for the first top 10 places. Starting at 10th, the bottom 1:08. As I say, only 4 and a bit minutes outside this morning's hot seat is David Vitorino, Portugal. Jonathan Stevens, Moon Riders and UK. Keith Atchison, Spanish, Barcelona, 7th, 1:07. And Timo Achenbach in the Zoom room for Moon Riders from Germany at 1 minute and 6. Jojo Rusinek, Canadian, another Moon Rider at 1:06. Peter Brookwavel from Berkshire in England, UK, 5th, 1:05. And then the hot 4 up front were Daniel Cadiz, who actually was now over 3 minutes behind John Beams. That stretches John Beams' lead in the series out to over 10 minutes, and I think that's probably unassailable. I'll tell you what I would do, Rebecca. Tell John to make sure that his Wi-Fi connection is all sort of, you've paid the bill to BT or Virgin Mobile, whoever. Just make sure nothing goes wrong with that Wi-Fi for 2 evenings, because I think the series is probably within grasp now. As I say, I'd probably make sure everything's working nicely on my computer as well. Put a bit of oil in the smart trainer if it's needed. I don't know what you do with smart trainers, but anyway. Only technicals, I think, are going to affect John, or unless Daniel has a cunning plan. And we can find out more tomorrow. Don't forget, Derek Bocock will be streaming that. So look on RGT users on the Facebook group to find out how to log in and watch live Derek. And I'll be back on Friday. Can't wait. I think I'll probably be watching Derek's broadcast tomorrow. It's going to be so exciting, isn't it? It's so exciting. And then the roundup on Saturday, remember. All the details of that, I think, are on RGT users Facebook group. As the Poet coming in 200 metres to go for Switzerland in 12th place. My prediction of 110 is probably going to be outside 112, I think, maybe. It's going to be about 112, I think, isn't it? 6%. Crawley, 100 metres to go. It'll be under 112, but by a slither, I think. It's probably going to be about 11.55, maybe. No, I'm going to be well wrong. Probably 11.50, I would guess. 49, 50, 51. 1 hour, 11.51. Very respectable. Fran Hayes coming up, British rider in 13th place in that rather resplendent fluo kit. I like that. You can certainly ride in the dark in that sort of thing, can't you? Scorpio. And I'm not sure I recognise that kit. Well, I see it's got a matching bike, so that is very, very impressive. You are so well colour coordinated, Fran. It's notable. I think if there's a prize, don't they in horse show jumping competitions? They have prizes for the best turned out horses and things. So maybe if they had one of those in the series, write to James Ogilvie and suggest that they put in a prize for the best turned out bike and rider, because I think the coordinated bike colours and kit there for Fran Hayes would probably be within a shout of winning that. However, Fran is under a bit of pressure because we have Herrera about to overtake. No, I'll tell you a lie. That's sorry. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's Herrera's about to. Yeah, so poor old Fran's just dropped back a position. Never mind. As I say, I'm still going to vote for you for the best turned out rider. Spurred on, Fran. Fran fights back. Go for it, Fran. Go for it. In 15th, Johan Smyard is 47 metres behind Herrera and Fran. They're coming up to the finish. Last 100 metres, neck and neck. Will we have a sprint? Let's stay with this. And Fran's going for it. Don't think Herrera. Oh, maybe Herrera's going to go. No, Fran's got it. Fran's got it. Fantastic. So I'm not going to give you the most aggressive rider, but that's probably the best sprint we've seen all evening, isn't it? So well done, Fran. Well turned out, good sprint, and should be very, very pleased, I think, with 13th place. One of the Murrays, we had two Murrays riding in this. They were quite close to each other at one point, but this is M. Murray coming in 16th. That hairpin looks awful, 17.6%. I think I'd probably, if I wasn't sort of 250 metres from the finish, I'd probably be just about getting off my bike at that point. It settles down to a really comfortable 13%, you'll be pleased to know, as they hit the 250 metre sign. And it must be grueling. I don't know how long. I mean, this probably takes. It probably seems like it takes forever to do this last 200 metres when you're absolutely knackered. I mean, you should think about nearly 1,300 metres of climbing in 20 kilometres. Now, I would say, I mean, you look at some of the sort of big Grand Tour stages. They might be sort of 200 and something kilometres with 3,000 metres. This is just insane. You know, the meters climbed per kilometre ridden is just insane here. But of course, you know, it's just one mountain climb. It's like an extended hill climb, and British riders will know all about the hill climbing scene. They're short, sharp, steep ones in Britain. This is a long, enduring steep one, and boy, it's got gradients to match hill climbs. Here's James Ogilvie swaying around as he grinds his way up the last 150 kilometres, knowing that if this is tough, he's still got to sit down all evening and put all the results together and put them out on RGTDB. And we're all waiting, James. You know, no pressure, mate, but you're going to have to get on with it, because we're all dying to know if there's 25 riders left in that 251 pound draw. Can't wait to see the results. RGT DB, everybody, don't forget, have a little look later. Don't be too cruel on James. Let him have a shower, something to eat before he settles down and does all the results. 25 metres, go on James, you're nearly there, mate. And there we are. Hey, look at that. Arms aloft, he's very pleased with himself. Superb, fantastic, and thanks for putting it all on. Budel and Jonathan, by the way, the RGT man in a very respectable 19th. And don't forget, I don't know how many riders will finish this, but we are, this is Paul Budel from Offenburg, Germany. We were, I can't remember how many started with now, but it was 50-something riders on the line when I looked before the start. So, finishing 19th from that amount of starters is quite impressive. And I think it's important that we always recognise that everybody in this race is important. I mean, it's very easy to focus on the front, but everybody who's entered this race has played a part in it, made it entertaining. They've probably pushed themselves to the absolute limits, and I think we should recognise the effort they're putting in. And most of them are part of the RGT community. I mean, Jonathan certainly is. I paid tribute to the man earlier. He's certainly done a lot for me over my time of involvement with RGT, and I'm sure there's plenty of other organisers and racers who will say the same. Paul OTR, one of James Ogilvy's teammates, coming in 18th position. He's going to beat John, by the way. Another OTR man in 20th, S. Murray. And look, David Ellis down there in 22nd. Who else have we got? Chris Shackleton. So there's plenty of people still to come along. So let's not leave the screen. And don't forget, we are going to have to leave the screen at some point, because we are going over to my race, which is the West London VR race 4.3. Oh, look at this, Jonathan, by the way. Oh, Paul Budel, not having any of that. Who got in first out of those two? I want to know. I think Paul just made that. That was fantastic. That's two good sprints we've had. In fact, I think that endorses the point I'm making, that we should look back at the riders behind, because the best two sprints we've had have come from riders further back. So never overlook the back markers. It's like going to a football match. Just because you're going to watch two teams in the middle of the table doesn't mean the match won't be good. And just because you're going to watch two teams at the top equally doesn't mean it's going to be good. So Costa and Murray are the next two coming in. We're now at 7:18. I think the predicted switch over time is 7:20. There'll be something like a couple of adverts, and then I'll be back online telling you all about West London VR Race 4.3, the third in the series. We have it very tight at the top, only 2 points separating the top three riders, and plenty of the ones just below that still in the running. And that's going to be quite exciting. It's a crit course with some bends on it, so we'll see how much that plays into it. It's situated in Ghent. It's only 13 kilometres, not a long watch. It will be fast and furious, and it's called 6 Laps of Ghent because they go around this short crit circuit 6 times. It is, of course, named after the 6 Days of Ghent race, which takes place next week in the Velodrome. Now tomorrow, stage 9, which Derek's going to be commentating on. We can see here again we've got another one of these mountain climbs that zigzags a little bit, not perhaps quite in the same way, but there's plenty of hairpins spread across the range as we go up this mountain. So what we've got, Thyon and Daz, and that looks pretty steep coming out of the valley there. Stretching and zigzagging and then stretching again. That looks quite a fantastic race. 27.6 kilometres, 1,104 metres. So slightly easier than today's because it's kind of longer with 100 metres or so, probably about 200 metres less climbing and 6 kilometres longer. So and most of that I suspect is along the valley that you can see on that picture from the start. So All to be raced for tomorrow. I'm sure that Rebecca Beams will be watching in and cheering on John, and I'm sure Daniel, because his family, will be doing the same from Chile. It's going to be a thriller. Join Derek tomorrow, and I'll see you Friday. But remember, don't switch off now, because we're going to do West London VR race coming up. That's only 13 kilometres. I'd say it's not hilly. it'll be over in 20 minutes. So stay tuned, and we'll see you very, very shortly. Well, here we are, West London Race 4.3. The series was always called the West London VR because I've always based the races on routes in and around West London, just outside. However, today I break all the rules. I've taken this one for a little spin around the city of Ghent in Belgium, in Flanders, a city I like very, very much. And of course, next week hosts the 6 days of Ghent in the Velodrome, and for Brits, remember that Mark Cavendish will be riding in that. And I decided to pay tribute and do a little spin round a course that I made up in Ghent. And you can see here it's got some tight corners. This is right in the medieval city, right in the centre of Ghent there. So we're going around this 6 times because it's called 6 laps of Ghent, just to mimic the name of the 6 days of Ghent. It's got some slight rises, but it's not hilly, as you can see from that. It might just be the corners and the little slow drags that allow for the attacks from the riders, so we shall see how that goes. Now, Series 4 is quite tight at the top. We have a very tight situation now to Clays and Ned Bowen at the top there. Names you'd expect to see, but nevertheless, it's very, very tight, and we shall see how this one pans out. Remember, the point scoring in this is 100 points if you come first, 99 if you come second, 98 if you come third, and it just goes on like that. So every single rider will get points, and if you are a rider that's not competing at the top, you can still get prizes because if you race 21 of these, we send you a free badge. So there's something to race for, and it's quite a nice little community of riders that get involved in these, as you'll see. Not sure how many on the start line, but I was looking a moment ago, and well over 100 sign-ups. We have 92 riders online at the moment with 55 seconds to go. Now, it starts, if you look at the profile at the bottom, you can see it starts with a very gentle drag up, then a drop, and the only 2 brown bits, or orangey brown bits on the course are just after that dip. Those are probably the attack points, 6 times round. So there's, if you take those 2 orangey brown sections, there's 12 opportunities to attack on them, and maybe the dip just before. So 93 riders online with 24 seconds before the start. Now, the way these races work, you have to pedal very, very hard off the front. They are extremely fast and furious. There's not a lot of climbing in them. I don't know whether this one will be a sprint finish or not. They usually are, but we'll see how much it breaks up. 4 seconds, get pedaling, guys. 3, 2, 1, and they're off. Fast and furious, here we go. West London Race 4.3, and let's see how this pans out as they all go past in a big bunch. And already, if you get left off that spurt, you are probably in trouble. Miles Askew from Moonriders is the one. Simon Hall from Watford Velo up there in second place too. Watford Velo new to this series this season, and they put in some very, very good performances. So don't take a look out for those, because I think Watford are going to be the real deal in this series. Moonriders at the moment emphatically leading the team classification, but as I say, there's a lot to play for, and this is only race number 3. Now, as I go through around that bend, you can see there's a few stragglers getting left off the back there. 49.50 kph on a gradient. Now they're going up a 5% gradient. This is the first of these ramps. Will anybody get dropped? I think this ought to split the pack, and it hasn't done too much, although there's a long sort of train behind there, so I think some of those people are maybe not going to make it back onto the pack. Sorry about the stuttery pictures. I don't know if that's the same for you or whether it's my internet connection, but we seem to be back to normal as Casper Pedersen. Now, there's a man that I was commentating on last night who was absolutely thrilling in the Tour de Alpes last night. This is interesting. Look at the pack. That bunch is sticking together quite well. If people can stay together, they're just in, look, plus 1%. It's slight drags, this. The people just behind, they need to get on this group now, because if they fall off now, you are out of the group. You can see at the bottom in the profile there, as we go down minus 2.6, it's quite a strong outfield. But remember, that's probably not as strong as it looks, because what you're seeing is only one lap at a time. This will get more confused as they go around because people will be on different laps. But let's have a look at what we've got here. And see a rider from Twickenham there, Gillies, putting in a spurt at the top, and Kristen Edge, Pokemotion. Now the Dane on the front. We've got a couple of Danes near the front there. We can see Kasper Pedersen's name in 20 seconds. He's in the bunch, and you can see the sprintering has begun. There are riders behind it who are out of that bunch, and as I say, if you look at the white dots on the profile at the bottom, there's quite a few riders who will now be just riding to complete. Now that's a tight bend, and Kasper's has managed that quite well. And now it'd be interesting to see how much that plays. Kasper's getting caught now by, I say, Samways again, another Watford rider. Watford Velo, I think, are going to be forced. Now that's lap 1, and I wonder how many riders we've got in that group. I mean, it looks like probably about 40 riders still in that front group, and a couple of Danes. You can see the names there: Miles Askew, Simon Hall from Watford. Who else we've got there? Gillies from Twickenham, and we've got Jan Linden, Locomotion. So Verhoeven, Dutchman, is currently on the lead. Now it's quite interesting tactically. These spurts like this, they look futile if you think that you're going to get a breakaway. It's Jesper Verhoeven from the Netherlands in second place currently. But what these little spurts do with Samways, again, Watford Velo rider, who's putting in a bit of a show there. It would be nice to see Watford do well, because it's nice to see a club that just brings its own riders to the event. This is Jack Samways. Right, there's a little wave there as Jack Samways goes by somebody that I presume he's lapping. Jesper Verhoeven. This is if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, all the riders in the top 11 are together, so I'm assuming there's a big pack behind them. Kurt Nolan Pedersen putting out 500 watts. Now they're going up 1% here. Kurt down to Kurt's watts seem to be varying quite a lot. I don't know if that's the draft effect or not. That is splitting up a little bit, isn't it? That is really thinning down. I think those little bumps, those two little orangey brown bumps in the profile, are thinning the peloton on each lap, and this is no mean feat. Kristen Edge, Pokemotion, a Dane there. I don't know why all the Danish flags are filling up. Simon Hall, James Melville with the Saltar there from Glasgow United in that bunch. Names you'd expect to see. Kasper Hedenham, Jack Samways from Watford. Gillies from Twickenham, Curry, John Curry from Southport District Wheelers. And talking about Southport District Wheelers, you can see two riders there in those distinctive red, yellow and black jerseys. They have a race that's very similar to ours. They've got their little season starting on Friday evenings, so make sure you get Friday evenings cleared. No going down the pub, stay at home and do Friday Frenzy. Simon Miller runs those for Southport District Wheelers, and they come thoroughly recommended. I've ridden some myself and I can vouch for them. And so here's Seth Bergen now from the Netherlands, out there with Kasper Pedersen. Kasper does like it's Hans Stiefbergen, Hans Stiefbergen and Kasper Hedderdam out front. Kasper does like, so they're beginning to lap riders there, you see. They're going past those. There's a great temptation when you get lapped in a crypt like this to latch onto the peloton if you can for a few hundred meters. But the speeds they do, if you're one of the people at the back, it's very, very hard to maintain this. We've still got 93 riders online, and we're nearly 5 kilometres in out of 8. We go in these tight bends, and that pack is thinned out a lot more, I have to say. As I only designed the route, this has thinned out more than I was expecting. This is quite attritional, isn't it? And at 40, I mean, the corners are slowing them down. Timo Ackenbach, who's just ridden Tour de Alpes, come on Moon Riders. Timo, of course, a Moon Rider himself, who put in a very, very good display in Tour de Alpes just now. Thanks for commenting, Timo. Nice to see you again. Looks like we spent the whole evening together. Ned Bowen. Now, Ned Bowen is a star of this series, a former winner, runner-up in the last series, and he lost to Nick Greenhalgh. Now, the big news tonight, and I have saved this a little bit, Carlos Sella, another star from the series. I have to tell you that Nick Greenhalgh, for personal reasons, domestic reasons, is not here tonight, and the defending champion is going to be one race down. Now, if you think about the way this scores, if you're one race down, you potentially lose something like 90 to 100 points, and that is very hard to make up over the 13 races. However, what we have done this season, we've done a best of 6 series. It's what I like to think of as the green jersey, the secondary sort of competition, so that if you do fall foul of having to miss a race for illness or domestic reasons or whatever, you can do the 6 of the best. So you pick your best 6 rides, or we pick them for you, and at the end of the series we add up the points from your best 6 rides, and there is a secondary competition. So Nick will have to, I think, compete for that. He has said to me that he's going to aim for a top 6 in the series, so I think he'll still be competing hard for the rest of the series, which leaves Ned Bowen and a few others as the ones to watch for in this series. So Daniel Neuberger in this now Wouter Klaes, and Wouter was in the hot seat for most of the day on Tour de Alpes as they come round to complete another lap. So about halfway round now, so that'll be 3 laps completed. The information at the top left-hand corner of your screen, which is lap 1 out of 6, is incorrect. I don't know if that's because somebody is stuck on lap 1, which probably means they've had it mechanical and maybe stuck, but we'll have to see. So we get some little bursts off the front here. Verheulen and Brearley putting away in the 3Rs kit there. Stephen Brearley riding for 3Rs. Catherine Pedersen and the back catch them up. We go around a bend, so they're all going to have to brake. This is thinning and thinning and thinning. What are we talking about? Maybe 30, 35 riders left in that group. Little bends. Remember that RGT makes you brake around these bends, and you can see 2 riders just there falling off the back. We have to be careful. I mean, of course, there could be lapped riders who momentarily got on and then got dropped. But these bends are playing a part in this race. This is going to be heavily contested. I think this is the Twickenham rider just falling off the back there, Gillies. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Go on, let's see if you get back on. It's 42.43, and of course this would be faster if it wasn't for the bends. The bends, you see, the bend like this is going to make them brake, and the consequence is that they can't get up much over the 45, 40 to 45 range. Here they are on a very, very slight incline of 0.7. That's restricting them to 39k rather than 40, and yet they're still split in the back, and that to me suggests that this race is the course is probably trickier than we might have thought. I have ridden it myself. I do check all these courses, but of course I tend to ride them with a few bots or on my own. Carlos Sella there, the Spaniard from Madrid. Julian Fussell for South District Wheelers. Simon Hall for Watford. I assume now we've got a couple of Watford. Yeah, look, if you look at the I think we've probably got a couple of Watford riders in here. So Jeff Gillies and Hall, that should be a good result for them. Remember that for the team classification, it's your top 2 riders. Now you can put 4 in the team. You don't have to. You can have any number you like between 1 and 4, I suppose, but 2 is what you need. And the first 2 riders in your team will their points will go towards the team classification. as Casper Pedersen and Casper Hederdum and I can't remember Pedersen's first name now. Sorry. Stuart Brearley, Simon Miller from Southborough in third place. Kurt Pedersen, that's it. Sorry. Kurt Pedersen, Casper Hederdum. The Danes have been really strong on RGT lately. I think earlier this year, probably about 5-6 months ago, a number of Danes started experimenting with it, and it seems to me that the word went round, and the Danes have gone from strength to strength as more and more joined in the competitions. And what a great country it is, and a great contribution they've made to RGT racing in recent months. If we look ahead, Kurt Pedersen and Brearley, they're just ahead. I think that's a straggler just behind. They're just behind, so I think they're about to lap whoever that person is. 45 kph as they lap the other person. I'd say when I ride these and I get lapped, I quite like it because I sort of see how long I can hang on to the peloton. 38 kilometres, let's say around another competitor. We've still got 92 riders online, and the information tells us we're on lap 2 out of 6, which is to say probably somebody with a mechanical was stuck on Jack Samways for Watford Velo. And Watford Velo are a very impressive club. You see their pelotons out riding in the Chilterns most weekends, and they have some very, very good riders. They've taken to this like a duck to water. They've been fantastic. So glad to have them along. And we have a lone leader, but it's only 3 metres, so I think the camera's not telling you that Hans Stiesbergen is yes, only just ahead of the pack. How many riders have we got in there though? I mean, this is probably down to about 30 in that main pack, and we've still got 92 riders online, so there are riders everywhere around this crit course. Jack Samways, Watford are really putting on a show here, aren't they? This is fantastic stuff. So Stiefbergen and who else have we got? Jack Samways again on the front. This is fantastic riding, isn't it? So I see green as well. We've got three Watford riders in this group. This could be quite emphatic. Moon Riders better start watching out. I can only see 2 Moon Riders jerseys in there. Now, of course, remember that the top 2 riders are the ones that count. We've got 2.4 kilometres to go, and this is going to be exciting, isn't it? This is going to be one hell of a bunch sprint, and if Watford can take places away from Moon Riders, they could close that gap. Now, Watford are currently, I think, 5th in the team series as we enter the last lap. 2.1 kilometres, last lap. The peloton, look at that, 3 Southborough District Wheelers riders in there. Don't forget Friday Frenzy this Friday on RGT, run by Southborough Moon Riders, and it's Miles Askew for Moon Riders, who's taking up the front. 1.9 kilometres to go. I don't think you can get a breakaway that far out, but we've got these 2 little bumps coming up, haven't we? So 1.8k to go. Everybody lining themselves up. You don't want to get dropped on either of these 2 bumps. If you look along the bottom, you can see the big light bulb there. Outer Clay's up there for Moon Riders, and they are heading towards the first little brown section. Now watch the gradient in the top right hand corner. They're on minus. Now it's suddenly 5%. It's only a short ramp. Let's see what happens. Jack Samways from Watford going for it here, and it's John Samoot who's with him. So it's Samoot and Samways, and Miller is coming through as well. Did they drop into this? People definitely dropped off of that. That might, with the final shake up, is going to be a lot smaller. Carlos Sella now, he's had some great wins in this. He's taken up the front. Look, this has whittled it down. There's probably 20 riders within a shout of winning this as we come in. 1.2 kilometres to go. I'm not sure if we get a Flamme Rouge here, because I think crit races they don't put them in, otherwise they'd be there on every lap. So that has severely whittled down to about 20 riders, I would guess, maybe 24. I think looking at that, a couple of people there with mechanicals. This probably means they've got to drop out on their system. as Peter Austin up there, Carlos Sella, I'm just looking for names, Simon Hall, and both Glasgow United riders in there, Alistair McAlpine and James are both in there. I'm looking at Simon Hall for Watford, Jack Samways for Watford, Miles Askew for Moon Riders. This is down to what, 25 riders now, if that, probably less. This is Hans Striefbergen. There's a few just off the back there. Will they hold on? The pressure is on. 47, 48 kph. Everybody's pushing it with 400 metres to go. Jack Samways from Watford really giving it some. There's Ned Bowen in there. He's the man who's we have to watch. Oh, somebody's going up the side there. It is Hans Striefbergen. That is emphatic, but there's a bend, so the braking might have an effect here. 240 metres to go. No, Striefbergen is going clear. This is cracking. Oh, look, Wouter Claes. Wouter Claes, who's in Wouter Claes could get the win here, and this is the man who's going to be. Oh, this is emphatic. Wouter Claes, that was impressive. Ned Bowen in fourth, John Samu in third. These are the people that you need to be watching for. Jans Linden and Jay Miller, Miles Askew in there, and wow. I have to take my hat off. Wouter Claes is in such a rich vein of form at the moment, and Ned Bowen in fourth must be a little bit disconsolate about that one. You would always bet on Ned Bowen in a sprint, and fourth was probably slightly disappointing for Ned. Don't forget though, this is only race 3, so we've got 10 to go, and this is all to play for. But there is a time trial later in the series, and Ned doesn't particularly like those, although he's still a decent rider. As we look at some of the results of people coming in, and Paul Hinson there 34th, Gillies from Twickenham 33rd. So these are the official results coming out the top third. So James Curry in 30th for Southborough. James has had some great results recently, so probably a little bit disappointed with that. Probably got dropped somewhere. Let's start at the other end. Sorry, there's 3 Southboroughs, 28th, 29th and 30th there. Let's start at the top though. We've got top 40. No, that's all right. Let's go back. So let's 4 Southboroughs between 28th and 32nd. Don't forget their race on Friday, as third mention. Christian Edge at 26th. Nicky Hangard at. Now these are all on to 18. So if you look at Simon Miller there, 18:22. That's only 20 seconds between first and 32nd. Now Hans Striefbergen and Wouter Claes. John Sammer, Ned Bowen, Jan Linden for Pokemotion, Jared Miller, Miles Askew, Robert Jenko, Matthias Bergqvist from Sweden, Casper Hedenham, the Great Dane, lighting up the race so often at the front there. Jasper Verhoeven from the Netherlands, all these on 18.2, and Stephen Brearley only just outside that on 18.3. James Melville from Glasgow United will be slightly disappointed at 14th, but still only 2 seconds away from Wouter Claes in first place. Let's have a look at the Watford riders. Jack Samways in 18.04, but that's very respectable when you think you're just behind a great man like Carlos Sella. Carlos Sella himself, time-wise, very, very close to Antoine Verneau, but not quite. Mario Sevelis, I think I missed out in 13th there. Sorry, Mario. Rob Miller in 14th, Sean Murto 19th. Alistair McAlpine, the other Glasgow United rider, 18.04. Simon Hall for Watford at 23, just beaten by Peter Austin, the man from Leatherhead. Kurt Pedersen, the other Dane, at 21st. Now, if you think how much Kurt lit up that race at the beginning, or during it, I should say, and finished only 3 seconds, but 21 places away from Wouter. Daniel Nürber from Germany, Darrell Green, another Watford rider, in 25th. I think Watford are going to clock up some good points in this, and Christian Edge again from Denmark, Nicky Haugaard, Julian Fussell starts the little onslaught of Southborough District Wheelers riders, who obviously came in a bunch, only spotted by Kessler Dobson, nicking 31st from my old mate Simon Miller there. Stuart Gillies from Twickenham, and pleased to say that was a good result for Twickenham, and hopefully that hauls him up the table a little bit, so well done Stuart. Paul Hinson, another regular rider, Hurst Söderberg, Mike Adey, another regular, Brian Vince, and another Watford rider. They put in a strong showing They've had riders all over the top of the standings here, so great performance by them. Hans Persson, Richard Howell, and Andy Bill. You're on a bit of form, Andy. That was well done. So that's a couple of good results for Andrew there from Ealing. Well done, Andrew. So that's the top 40. I think, I don't know if we're going back to the race or not. I suspect we're probably not. A couple of things to look out for. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the next West London VR race. And again, we'll be back to a more normal distance of about 15-16 kilometres, so look out for that. Hopefully on ZMS once again. Tomorrow night, Derek Bocock is doing Tour de Alpes through his own stream. Friday evening, don't forget you've got Tour de Alpes on ZMS, and you've got the Southwood District Wheelers race Friday Frenzy kicking off their series. And if you want something else to do, I did a little presentation for VCN about a prototype of a new bike, if you're into the technical stuff, which you can find out details on if you go onto Facebook and look at the RGT users group. So, plenty to keep you occupied. Remember, it's RGT, it's free, and it's fun. We look forward to seeing you next time.